China increased more solar in 2023 than the entire world did in 2022. Their increase in 2023 alone was more than the entire US has ever built. So are they amazing or do we suck? Let's talk about US energy infrastructure and why it's a train wreck right now. My name is Isaiah Hernandez and this is Queer Brown Vegan. My platform is to bring you environmental education that's focusing on intersectional issues rather than ignoring them. If you like what you see here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps me grow my channel and bring you more educational content. Almost all of America experienced some sort of climate impact in the last year. Storms, tornadoes, heat waves, wildfires, hurricanes, flooding, they all carry a risk to a very important thing in the US. I mean, our lives, I guess, but also energy. Can you imagine a world where you need AC but the power isn't working, or you need heat to your home but all that's available is a generator? Can you imagine the food in your fridge going bad because the power is out and no one pays the cost except for you? This has become the reality for Americans, especially in the last few years. Not only does it have to be this way, energy companies are practically keeping it in this way. The US energy grids were mostly built in the 1960s and 1970s and has been poorly managed. To replace fossil fuels, we need new grids. A big reason for this to happen, whether power companies like it or not, is that the demand for electricity is growing and rapidly in 2030. It's supposed to be 14% to 19% higher than 2021 levels, and this is a source from REPEAT, Rapid Energy Policy Evaluation and Analysis Toolkit, and 27% to 39% higher by 2035. If we want to have electric vehicles, heat pumps, electrification of industries, it will require more wind and more solar, and the grids that can support transmission over the long distances. So getting energy from wind to places without wind, for example. Data centers, for example, are a driving force in energy consumption. Artificial intelligence require warehouses worth of computing power, and not just ChatGPT, but cloud technology and other things like crypto growth. Texas and North Virginia both can't meet the demand required by processed data centers, and Texas already faces shortages during the hot summers. States facing shortages is unfortunately a very real issue. In 2021, the Texas freeze saw Ted Cruz fleeing to Cancun was $1 billion weather disaster. It was 8 days long, and at its peak, 10 million people had no power, no lights, no cooking, no warmth, water pipes broke, cars slipping and sliding everywhere. There were hundreds of fatalities, and this wasn't even the biggest freeze in Texas history. And Ted Cruz was just vacationing. Michigan is the site of the Midwest's most power outages. No thanks to DTA and Consumers Energies, the energy duopoly of Michigan. The power outage rate there is twice as high as the national average. Are DTA and Consumer going to do enough to upgrade the grids? Not yet, but they've certainly had no problem pushing the bill onto everyday people. Now, people in Detroit are warming up to solar and community power to reduce the energy costs of themselves and their own communities. We have a very powerful answer at our disposal, in my view. We know the grids have to be built. There are challenges with rooftop solar. Our private companies are overcharging us or dragging their feet. So what if people own their own power? Introducing community-owned grids, energy unions, or co-ops possibly our way to an equitable and regenerative future. This is an energy production system primarily owned by the community or by region, maybe managed by the local utility, rather than by private stakeholders. If there are profits in the system, they are shared by the community, possibly as an energy credit instead of an energy bill, and an energy is provided at the lowest possible cost. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? In most places, solar is cheaper than fossil fuels, so for Americans trying to save money, which I think is all of us, this is a real way forward, and it also reduces our dependence on fossil fuel based grids, which have been shown to fall during storms. And there is already at least one community solar project in 43 different states, and this is already happening at a larger scale in European countries like Denmark, Germany, and Italy. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that we have to change to clean, affordable energy, because the situation we have now is not enough to meet our power demands, and we're seeing a lot of risk from storms or disasters. So when we're doing this, the question is, can we do it in a way that's good as possible, as cheap as possible, or for many as possible? And I think that answer is yes. When we talk about energy infrastructure, I think the conversation around clean energy is very unique. Typically when people say I'm for clean energy, what they're saying is that they're for the contribution of solar, wind, geothermal, and nuclear. Now I know we talked a lot about nuclear energy in previous videos, but I think it's a very interesting conversation that we're having. Is that I've always told people that I am not for the development of new nuclear power plants in the US. I am invested in learning about why we should have the existing nuclear sites that we have, because I've been finding out that every time a nuclear power plant shuts down, that fossil fuel industries are built up. Now, I also don't want monocultures of solar farms or air turbines, and I know that a lot of people need to understand that in certain regions, like in desert communities here in California, they don't want endless solar panels because that destroys the ecosystem. Now, they are trying to work with local city governments and also corporations to understand, like, is there a way to build solar farms that are on top of people's homes and to ensure that there is this source of energy capture instead of trying to destroy the following ecosystem. And I think that we have to remember that a lot of these corporations and these private stakeholders that are for renewable energy industries, they don't always have the best interest in people. Thanks for watching this video, and be sure to like the video and leave a comment with something that you learned about our energy industry and some things that you'd like for me to explore. I'm generally curious to understand what your thoughts are on the American energy industry and how we can promote environmental and energy justice.